Welcome to Across the Desk and our new series in partnership with Maddie Dever, the Autistic Rambler. Maddie is a non-binary autistic advocate engaged in political advocacy, a parent of 5, and a very funny person. I think we're going to have a lot to talk about, and we look forward to you joining the conversation. Now let's get to rambling. It's always a thing. It's always the thing.
Welcome to the It's Always the Thing podcast.
Yes. Welcome to Across the Desk. My name is Elizabeth Plouffe, and I am your hostess with the mostest of Across the Desk. And we are continuing with our Autistic Rambler series with the ever-loving Maddie Dever. Woohoo! Woohoo! Now, Maddie is feeling very oppositional and defiant right now because they just sat through a really crappy...
Okay, it wasn't crappy. I did learn stuff, but it was very academic, aimed at an audience that was not. I'll just say that.
So this is where, so I said, could we jump in? So Maddie's coming along on an adventure because we did not pre-discuss this topic.
Nope.
But I know from previous conversations that it will go fine. So it's fine. So I'm going to start with a story. And then we'll jump into what we're going to talk about. And the story might make sense. It's about context. This podcast is about context and about understanding your audience. And I have a medical background in that I was a medical office administrator for many years. I took the full-time training program, which includes anatomy, physiology, pharmacology, office management, all kinds of stuff. I worked in specialties for 13 years and I taught the program for 2 years. So I got some, smarts. And on top of that, I'm a firm believer in the power of I don't know. So if I'm talking to somebody and they're asking me medical stuff and I'm trying to explain it, I use the terminology, right? Because it's appropriate to the conversation. What I forget or forgot until somebody pointed it out to me, and it took a year for them to point it out to me, was context.
Yeah.
In that, the person I was speaking to did not have the same work experience, did not have the same anything. So, we'd be talking about a variety of things and I'm using the terminology, and not once did this person say, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't understand the language you're using.
Yeah.
So Maddie and I are in a position where we attend a variety of functions, webinars, conferences, speak to a variety of people. And what we are noticing are these barriers that are getting created by people not understanding context.
Yeah. And their audience. Yeah.
So that's what I mean, right? So if you are delivering a message and you are delivering it to fellow academics, you use one language. If you are delivering it to fellow researchers who also have the body of knowledge required to understand the information, you use another vocabulary. But when you are speaking to a bunch of folk who you've asked to be at the table, who you have intentionally invited to have a conversation, and then you deliver information as though it's to peers or colleagues or whatever, then you are creating a barrier.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I was.
Yeah. I remember as a kid, even as an adult, a lot of times, like I knew a lot. I learned things quick. So I had a lot of adult conversations and a lot of adult thoughts. And so, my mom used to call it when I went into professor mode.
You're not autistic at all.
Yeah. I mean, I would just spout all the information I knew about a particular thing. And, because I was hoping that somebody would like to share more information to me so that I can learn more and then spout more. But that was not something that people appreciated, that didn't have as quick a grasp of things as I did. And I had to,
or just context, like body of knowledge to understand the topic, right?
Yeah, I've had a painful over time realize that I need understanding the need for plain speech, speaking plainly, using plain English. So it's more of a stripped down approach so that the words you use are going to be understood by the audience that you're in. And even when you're in an academic circle, it's you may have a more complicated lexicon-related document that has the deep stuff in it, but when you're explaining it, using plain English is always good.
Use the freaking acronyms.
Yes.
Wackadoodles.
Yes.
Like, it makes me bonkers.
Every single place, every single job, every single field has their own can of alphagetti. And it's made with different.
I love that.
It's made with different ingredients, and sometimes you realize.
But for real, it's like they put the spoon
you have to leave. You
in the
can't use that
alphagetti,
can, or you can't open the can. Where's the can opener? I have no idea. I've got the instructions, but I can't do anything with a can.
It's like they put a spoon in the alphagetti and said, let's see what letters come up, and then we're going to make a freaking word out of it.
Exactly.
We're going to make a really long, complicated thing that's unnecessarily it just okay. So, sorry, I get a little passionate when people aren't. To me, it's being inconsiderate.
Yeah.
Right. Like your okay. So this is I'm going to be judgmental.
OMG. Right now, I'm ROTFL. LOL.
Okay, but those are different in that.
They are, but they aren't. Until people understand that there's something
valid.
Yeah, like it's just a cutesy way of saying that. Even teens, like there are things like I had to learn and understand, like, what is cap, no cap, sus. It's like, okay, I can think what they mean, but it's like there's a lexicon.
I have no interest in learning any of that crap, because the challenge is that, I mean, I have adults texting me and using "you are," and I'd be like, no, that's a hard no. You're an adult with a high school and post-secondary education. Add the YO. So one of the things that we talk about quite frequently is creating seats at the table and creating opportunities for individuals to connect and all that kind of good stuff. And it gets frustrating when you are working in an industry where ego starts to take a big seat at the table, and perhaps it's not ego. I don't know. Maybe it's just like, I had a meeting yesterday. I had a phone call out of the blue with somebody. Because here's the other thing that drives me crackers from a context perspective around language is that if you are playing in the sandbox, you need to learn what's happening with the individuals that you are trying to support. So I had a conversation yesterday with a post-secondary institution who called me, which reminds me, I have to call them back. Oopsie.
Note to self, when I'm listening to this podcast.
Yeah. Be September, I'll be like, damn it, I forgot again. So she says to me, and I quote, right? So they're interested in one of the programs that we're offering. Use the term high functioning.
Oh,
I know. And I know. Do you have one of your scrunchies then?
I do.
Oh, isn't that pretty?
Sorry.
I've got my rainbow scrunchie. Yes, you do.
Oh,
Maddie's got
my head back.
Beautiful hair. Yeah, why did you do that? It's pain. So I'm talking to this, speaking of pain, I'm talking to this post-secondary institution. They use the term high functioning. Now, I used to use that because my son was diagnosed in a medicalized model. That was the terminology we knew at the time. And in some cases, I still have to use it to create clarity and then educate, right? So context. That individual, so I waited a little while and processed. And then as the conversation continued, I could tell that this individual appeared to be new to, despite having some years, they claimed, in a certain field. I think they were new to this. And now I've been running in this circle now for, well, my son's 25, but it got very active when he turned 18. So 7-8 years I've been running around with this. And separate from,
like a chicken with their head cut off, looking for autistics to help.
Well, preferably with some eyeballs, but that's okay. More like a whirling dervish. That's what my mom used to call me. It was a whirling dervish. So as this conversation continued with the individual, I was like, is this an appropriate teachable moment? They want to work with us. Yes, it's appropriate. So I said, hey, just for context, I said the autism community is undergoing some shifts, and the individuals that I, work with and what have you from a lived experience perspective prefer low support, high support versus functioning.
Yep.
Because functioning is a relative term to the individual, and it, so just, for context, if you're going to continue having conversations, you might want to consider. Now, there was a little pause.
Uh-huh.
And not dog pause, but like a little pause of, oh. But then appeared to take the suggestion in stride. So this is going to connect to something else we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
Because we just did an assessment. And yes, and I got yours. It looks good. Not shocked at that at all. Right.
Thought humor might be a little higher, but yeah.
Well, I only got the first page, I think.
Oh, I posted the first page in the work group, but okay. I have the whole document here
we'll talk about that in a second. So contextually, it is around language. It is around understanding that you have an audience that you're whether it's a one-to-one, whether it's a one-to-many, doesn't matter the format, but it does matter that you use some discretion and that you are considerate to your audience. Because when you go ahead and you have, these chats, and it is dominantly research-based or academic or whatever, honey, like read the room. Like if people are yawning and checking their phones and doing whatever, there are ways to convey statistics and meaningful information in a way that is still engaging and keeps people at the table.
Yeah.
Right? Like
it's a combination of okay, so I learned over my many years of doing presentations that a little bit of graphic, a little bit of text, and you find a connection to the page, to the audience, right? Mm-hmm. And when you do that, like, so you can use humor, you can tell a story, you can introduce a concept at one part and then go back to that concept later on. These are all those little hooks that's what I do. Interested in the topic.
I tend to ask a lot of questions of the audience, mainly absolutely. Because I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I got a story for everything. If you don't know me yet, I got a story for everything. Yeah. You can anything from, I don't even know. Like, give me a topic. I got a story. It's just the way my life has been. Tell me.
Knitting.
What's that?
Knitting.
My mama.
Yo, mama.
Story. My mama was a knitter. My mom used to have knitting machines. Right? She made the most fantastic stuff. She made us hats with our names in them. She made us these fancy yoke sweaters. She used to make ladies' suits on a knitting machine.
Okay.
Right. I will get you pictures. I have friends that are knitters. I tried knitting. I suck at knitting, but I'm great at crochet.
Yeah.
I'm going to be great.
My mom used to joke that she was a hooker.
Yeah, I am a hooker. 100% a hooker. I am not a needle user, but I am a hooker.
Exactly.
But I use that as part of so I'm presenting now a lot. I've actually just been asked to present to a national conference in a couple of weeks about neurodiversity and advanced manufacturing and trades. And I'm really fortunate because I have a lot of stories. Why? Because my husband is dyslexic. He's a triple ticketed tradesperson who is a millwright and a dual ticketed electrician. I have a neurodivergent son who is a welder. We have members of our team we just had one new member of our team, Paul. What?
And you.
Yeah, but I'm not in the trades, man.
Yeah, but you understand the trades because you're doing all this stuff. And you're neurodivergent. You're unique. You're very near unique.
Do I have to do a pledge? Is there like an oath?
No, it's just a badge you wear. You just say, the moment you say, I swear.
I solemnly swear that I am up to ADD.
Exactly.
So, but this is the other thing, is that I think folks get trapped in this rigid format.
Yeah.
of presenting. They don't explore alternative formats. They might not feel that humor is appropriate. And, and if you're talking about, cancer or whatever, like potentially not funny.
And if humor's not your personality, don't use humor. It won't go
be
very
authentic.
well. Right?
But if you are drier than a mouse's fart, when you are presenting, you need to spice things up a bit.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you are really valid. Like, you came out of that presentation and you're absolutely drained. And I think what ends up happening is you get, not you, but folk in general, you disengage, you stop paying attention, and you can only absorb so much information that's boring.
5%.
Sad, right?
You're going to get something out of it, but it's
not the value it could be.
Yeah.
So what we're suggesting, especially if you happen to be delivering information either on neurodiversity or to neurodivergent individuals, assume that at least 10% of the room or more is not going to understand what you're going to say if you choose your traditional academic, research-focused, jargon-filled, acronym-laden stuff. If you pick...
even highly intelligent people who have been trained in some things, right? The more you know about something, the more you need to speak to find a plain English way of explaining it, because you get really caught up in your own terminology, your own stuff. You've got to find a way to bring it down, because the one I was just in, a good friend of mine who's autistic, who's been through school and all that stuff, it's like, I'm not understanding a single thing that is being said. And it's like, you're not alone.
Now we're taking chairs away from the table, right? And the whole goal right now is to increase, right? So from a neurodivergent perspective, because you have different lenses than I do, right? And so what happens to you? And would you, so there's two parts to this question before you answer. One, what happens to you? And two, would you say that in your experience of connecting to other autistic individuals that this is common?
Yeah. Okay. So just using this last presentation, there were several autistics in the audience and clinicians and other educators. So there's a broad mix, but there was a bunch of autistics. For me, how did I feel? At times I felt dizzy, overwhelmed, frustrated, because the topic that was being chosen was one I wanted to be at. I chose to be here. I could have done other things with that hour and a half of my time, but I chose to be there on a topic that I was looking forward to hearing about. And when it was just, it was painful. It was difficult. It was frustrating. It was disappointing. And how did I deal with it? Well, fortunately, I had a friend of mine who was also in there, and we just went on our messenger and just vented as we were trying to listen. But I couldn't engage, and I couldn't, like, I was listening, I was trying to, but there was 76 slides.
What the stuff?
76. I really hope if the person who, if the presenter is listening to this, I liked the content that you had, but it was really, really difficult to connect with it and understand it more. So
that makes me want to go check my slide deck for my presentation, because mine is 30. My internet connection is unstable. That's that's a metaphor for my brain on a good day.
Oh yeah.
So what I try and do, I use them as
it really does affect us.
Thank you, because I have a similar response, and I thought it was just me because I'm a generally impatient, whatever kind of person.
It triggers anxiety, right? It triggers, like, all of that stuff that's inside of our statistics. It brings it up to the top, and it makes it harder for us to self-regulate. So fortunately, again, I have this way of venting through my friend, so that was good. I was able to, I was able to also help other autistics who were, like, struggling with it too, as well as some neurotypicals. It was just, but
76 slides.
76 slides. Like the one I did the week before, right? I did a presentation with my colleague and friend Moira. Moira Robertson. Shout out to you because you'll probably listen to this.
Oh, Moira, it's your birthday.
Yeah. But like ours, like I started with 60 slides and I cut. And I knew that we needed we had about an hour 70 minutes to the talk. And so I know that, you know, we needed to bring it to 37, 40 at max to be able to do that. Yeah. And I mean, we really brought it right to the edge of the time we had, you know, but it's like we needed it to have time to tell the stories. The slides were just there to guide us through the discussion. When you put text on every page, the more text you have, the less you're going to learn. You got to have that mixture, and you've got to have the connection. Like honestly, when I realized what slide we were on, it's like, okay, that makes sense, because it was just like some slides.
76 that's like Coco Chanel. So if anybody knows Coco Chanel, her famous advice was, put everything on that you think you should for your outfit, and then take 3 things off.
Exactly.
That was my advice to Maddie for their website. You put everything on your pretty outfit. Now take 3.
Yep.
Just take 3. Just start with 3.
Moderate.
And
like it's less is more.
Contextually. So yes, and one of the things I've been fortunate to do is that over my husband's career as a millwright and an electrician, friends have taken pictures of him, or like when he worked for the city of Toronto, for an example, there was one job, I think he was on Center Island, and he was 220 feet below the island. Okay. So for those of you that might not live in the Toronto area, I believe Center Island was man-made. It may have started out as like a spit of land, and then it was built upon, right? So this island happens to have a mix of tourist attraction and residents, but it is completely disconnected from Toronto. You have to take a ferry to get to there. There's no land connection. There's no nothing. So
you have to pay the ogre because the ferry doesn't take cash.
Dude.
Go on.
That didn't even fit. So yeah. You drink some more coffee.
You need to pay the tolls. The trolls are on strike, so the ogre.
You're stretching.
All right.
Snap.
Go back.
Done.
So the ferry.
So he's 220 feet below ground, or he's working on some pretty, like, you know, my husband clocks in at like 5'9". He's working on parts, you know, like valves and things like that are taller than he is, and like, you know, coming in at like 400 or 500 pounds or a ton or whatever. So I have some really cool pictures of him active on the job. I also have pictures of my son working with his dad on projects around our house involving welding, involving whatever. So my slide deck, regardless of audience, contextually, has pictures of my son and my husband, because they make up part of my story, and people engage because it's personal, and I have permission to talk about them, and I consider them success stories and a good, you know, understanding of how neurodiversity in advanced manufacturing and trades is a viable, valuable thing. And I think that's what ends up happening, is that folk get caught up in the stats, and they get caught up in the numbers, and they get caught up in the jargon, and they forget that nobody else finds that interesting. It's like when my autistic son wants to tell me all about his favorite TV show. I have no context. He wants to go into massive detail.
Yep.
Because he's my kid, I can tell him to STFU, but I can't. Thank you. Yeah. But I can't do that at a conference, even though I would really, really like to. So it was Maddie's response to that presentation, which could have had huge value to them, and did on some level.
Yeah.
Which sort of exemplifies how much the conversation and context matters when you are trying to create seats at the table. It is not up to the individuals coming to the table to adapt to you.
Yeah.
There's already enough of that going on.
Yeah. I mean, I when you think about it, I mean, if you've ever been on a board of some organization, you usually have some sort of onboarding or orientation thing. that lets you, that gives you the basics of how the organization works, like some of the terminology they use. And when you're assigned a sort of a mentor of a board member who's been on before, to sort of, after a few meetings, to sort of let you bounce, like, what did you think, how do you feel, does this, anything you don't understand. Orgs that don't have that, oh my god, they're hard.
Terrible.
They're hard to, because you may have people that have been on there for years, who just, like, and it's the same thing when you go into jobs. Like, there's a very similar thing. Like, there's when you've got a culture that you have become accustomed to, you have to intentionally step to the side to help somebody new understand that culture. Just like, when you're, okay, so it's a little bit different when you're going to some place that's got different language, different culture. It's a two-way street, really, right? There's,
you should do some research before you go. I'm not going to fly to Portugal without understanding, or I'll back up. I wouldn't fly to Israel without doing research on what's appropriate as far as headdress in certain areas, clothing in certain areas, and whatever, because I don't want to be culturally offensive.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not trying to appropriate or whatever, but you don't walk into certain buildings without a head covering on.
If you want, let's flip it to the other side. If you want tourists to come visit you, you're going to do the things to make them want to come and be supported and want to come back and tell other people. So that's why it's like, it's a two-way thing. But like, the organization needs to do some of the work, a lot of the work, to get new people in, especially when you're looking at diversity and you're looking at trying to get the people who have been underserved to be part of leadership. In order for it to be successful, you need to change how you say things so that there's a common ground.
You're creating a bridge.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's interesting, because this morning I had a conversation. So Spiro Careers Canada, we got a lot. I'm so tired. I'm so tired.
Happy Wednesday. This is a hump day, understandably. By the way, it's Wednesday today, whenever this gets posted, but today is Wednesday.
Are you citing me already? Don't cite me already.
I'm not citing you. I'm just, we don't have a regular day that we push these things out.
Because do we have a regular day we record on?
Yes. Do we stick to it? No. Do we? Okay, so it's like,
life gets in the way.
We're flexible, right? And we both have lives.
You make Gumby look like they're stiff.
You
just lost your ring of power.
Yeah, pink Leonard Wingly.
Okay.
So, all right. I gotta stop doing this because my one-year-old Demal just escaped as well.
Stop it.
I'm not gonna find it.
You will. So
I'll have to get somebody else to find it. I can't. I know where it went.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah. So Maddie has some intersectionalities which prevent flexibility on a daily basis.
On a physical sense.
I'm
very flexible, just not physically. You asked me.
Physically flexible.
I cannot do, what's that game that you do?
Twister?
Thank you. I cannot do Twister.
Or Hungry Hippo. No. Skateboards. People. Balloons. I'm telling you, it's a thing.
Okay, then.
Moving on. So this morning, I ended up on a meeting. So one of the things that Spiro Careers Canada, our focus is building employment solutions, whatever that looks like, right? So we have, and I don't mean that in a spaghetti kind of way. We have very direct things that we focus on. Yeah. One is a technology platform. One is our advanced manufacturing and trades for neurodiverse individuals. So I was having a conversation this morning. Why are you giggling?
Nana works.
I'll take that.
There we go.
Go Adam West. So ended up having a conversation because there's a high school that's getting retrofitted to be a community center. Now, what's interesting is that when the decision was made to decommission this high school, community involvement didn't matter for a squat. Like, it was happening. And I was hysterically watching these people get all advocate-y and angry and like it's going to make a difference. And I was like, decision's been made.
Yeah.
This is just a formality.
This isn't Tiananmen Square.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, the tank is there and it's done. Don't bother standing in front of it because they're gonna blow you. So out of the water, I mean. So that was dirty.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So now
Yeah.
the plan is moving ahead, and they need to have co-location partners within this facility. And now they're asking for community vision and ideas for, yeah, I know.
I know.
So the lady that I met with, fantastic. She's doing a difficult job because she knows, like, the local government has an agenda. It just is what it is. They need cornerstone tenants in order to be able to afford to run this place.
Yeah.
And what have you. So I have a very specific agenda around getting into this place, which is in Halton region, the neurodiverse community, from my perspective, does not really get a seat at any table as far as major decisions and how space is used and what have you. It is grossly underserved. So if you look at the autism community in particular, autism levels 2 and 3 have a rather wide variety of services that they can access. Level 1 does not. I shouldn't say that. Certain individuals who
we're
are
a gap. We're a crack. Yeah, we're
you're in the cracks.
The issue is
You're like a plumber.
We're not autistic enough
Yes,
to get some of the services, and we're too autistic to get others.
exactly. Which is my entire life for the last 18 years. As soon as my son was diagnosed, it was like, well, he's doing really well. I'm like, that's great, but I'm now drinking heavily. So can we please? I don't drink heavily, but
yeah.
No,
to be honest, like this is like I that's why I hate the whole conversation about the levels of functioning. Like high, low, 1, 2, 3. We're not a game. We don't level up. If we did, we just get
You're Pokemon.
Exactly. It's
I have too many tokens.
We have needs, and the needs are different at different times, and they are different intensities.
Agreed.
But autism, where we find autism, is in the gaps between the strengths and the challenges. Those gaps are where we need the most support. Yep. And if you're considered high functioning, you don't get them because they figure that you're going to get whatever strength you have is the same everywhere. And if you're considered low functioning, you're going to the strengths you have are completely ignored.
So low support, high support.
You're given support in a particular area, but it doesn't necessarily help you thrive. It doesn't give you quality of life.
I 100% agree. So 100% agree.
I hate that.
I know. But I got to try and stick with terminology somewhere so that I'm consistent, right?
I have an article coming out on this, by the way, so stay tuned. I've just finished writing an article about how to be an ally with looking at language and functioning ability.
We did it. Didn't we do a casting on that?
Yeah, we did. But I was asked to write an article for a toolkit on being an ally. And so instead of writing 1, I wrote 3.
Of course you did. Let's go back to those characteristics. Moving on. So context again, what Spiro Careers Canada is trying to do, which is my company, is build an ability hub that focuses on neurodiversity. But what we focus on are those gap areas like leadership, advocacy, entrepreneurship, and of course, advanced manufacturing and trades, right? So we want to be in the spaces where there's value for neurodivergent individuals, but service providers don't think about that. And the way that it's delivered for neurotypicals won't necessarily translate, because there's an assumption when it's delivered for neurotypicals that there's a certain amount of lived experience in that lane that helps it make sense. So on this meeting today, and this individual I was speaking to, again, doing a great job. So this is not a slag on them. It's the seats at the table.
Yeah.
And so now I have to attend all of these town hall things so that, I know, so that I can put my idea I've already submitted an RFP, that's a request for proposal. I've already submitted a thing of interest, to say, hey, like we have this idea. One of the reasons we need to get into the conversation, so this is context again, is that I need to apply for funding. I need to know how much space that's there. Like everything gets crafted around something else.
Yeah.
So she says to me, which is hysterical, well, people are going to come and they're going to give their ideas about there should be sports access. There should be sports things. There should be arts things. There should be this. There should be that. And I said, okay. In Halton Region, you can't swing a cat without hitting an arena or pool or something. So why exactly, that doesn't make sense to me. Arts. There's a ton of, like, we have a beautiful Burlington art gallery and we have tons of little art shops. We have pottery making, we have everything. So I said to her, I said, is it that those services are actually needed to fill a gap, or is it lack of awareness about what already exists and people want to propose what they know? And she stopped and she's like, yep. I said, okay. So when I finished explaining my concept, she's like, that actually makes sense. That could actually make a difference.
Yeah.
However, council makes the final decision, and council has to, basically, they're going to bow to peer pressure.
Yeah.
Not what makes sense.
Yeah.
Not what the audience needs, but because there was such a kerfuffle over converting this in the first place. So I'm thinking, okay, from an audience perspective, how do I unemotionally, strategically, and statistically build the idea, get neurodiverse seats at the table?
Yeah.
Right? Because she said, like, bring an army. I'm like, all right. I'm a good general. I can round people up. I'm not sure you understand what you just asked for.
You're a general purpose flower.
I am a general purpose flour. Although I'm also gluten intolerant. So technically I am not. I am a starch. And so here's what I'm trying to, it's all about these seats at the table and making them accessible and which we have talked about before, but what we haven't gone into is presentations.
Yeah.
Is community-based things. You're excited. Go for it.
Oh, I have a thought. Yeah, I know.
You get those?
So we need to dedicate a whole podcast on how to raise effective advocacy from parents, because I think there's two ways of advocating that we hear, right?
Yep.
There's advocating government, which again, there's two ways. There's activism and advocacy, and I think a lot of parents, at least in Ontario, fall back on activism. But there's advocacy, like there's, how do you get this message to the thing that you need for your kid or for the kids around you effectively, like what you're talking about? Like how do we do that? How do we, because it's, in order for tables to be set for autistics, we need somebody to set the table, and that's exactly, that's you, that's that's the you, that's the me, that's the parents that are hopefully listening to this. I
need to bring the autistic voices to the table for this, for the audience, because we're back to what we had said at the beginning, where if you want somebody to listen to your story and pay attention and understand the information that you're sharing, it needs to have a relatable component. It needs to have context for the audience. So I need to do a combination, in this particular case, of personal story and statistics, and I need to make a strong argument for why this could succeed, how it would benefit the community. And so now I have to go off and do research about how many businesses in Halton, or in Burlington in particular, are dedicated to sports, and how many are dedicated to art and what already exists and whatever. And she says, no, this was great, right? So this is the context that we're talking about and the feedback that you should look for before presenting. Do not go to your peer group before you present, because your peer group do not have the knowledge gaps that you're looking to fill.
Yeah. And you end up with confirmation bias. You end up hearing what you want to hear and not what you need to hear.
Exactly. And
Yes.
so we have a colleague on our team, and they're a great writer. They have a particular interest in Greek history and philosophy and what have you. I've mentioned them before. And we have worked extensively on a written piece that they're doing for us. And I was so impressed because they have been so open-minded about understanding context and audience.
Yeah.
And they have rewritten this piece in a great way that I can't wait to share, because it is now a solid, cohesive that supports the idea. And I mean, it's taken us a little while to get there because it has, but it's worth the effort. So if you are presenting if you have decided to become an ally with a neurodivergent community, if your thing happens to be learning disabilities, great. If it's autism, great. If it's, come help us ADDers, it's great. Do not go and give a presentation without talking to somebody who is actually a member of the audience that you're presenting to. And we were recently at an event where individuals were presenting. There's no possible way on God's green earth that this individual had checked in with anybody who was a member of the audience before they started presenting, because a member of the audience put their hand up and said, "Can you please stop using language we don't understand?
Yeah.
You're supposed to be talking with us, not at us."
Exactly.
And I was like,
yeah, unless you're in a university giving a lecture, which even then, like,
context.
Yeah. But like in that place, there's a particular expectation of
jargon.
What's the word? It's when you're monologuing, you're giving a bunch of stuff and you're expecting people to learn by so but when you're giving a presentation anywhere else, it's a dialogue. It might be a silent part, but it's always a dialogue.
I think that's how I have always presented, naturally.
Yeah.
I don't know why. That's just the way I'm built. I do much better when I am, here's a story. So I went back to school at 40 to get my postgraduate in corporate communications. And I had been an employee. I had done presenting. I had done whatever. So, but my colleagues in the class, co-students, whatever they're called, where there was only like 10 of us out of the 40 classmates, sure, who were above a certain age, and the rest were in their 20s. So I got up and presented. And how I present is I present something, and then I start asking questions, and then I relate it back, right?
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah. There
is silence. And I just went, oh, mother ducker, like, what did I just do? And then there was like a huge round of applause. And the teacher stepped, this is our first week in class, by the way. This was not great because there's ways to stand out, and then there's ways to look like a know-it-all Nancy. And I was looking like a know-it-all Nancy, but that's just whatever. And Elaine steps out and she's like, so I think we can tell who's presented before. And I was like, but I didn't think it was anything unique.
Yeah.
I do better with engagement.
Yeah.
It keeps the audience paying attention.
Absolutely.
They feel heard.
Yeah.
They feel included.
And every once in a while, if you just stop part of the presentation with a question on the screen, even if it's just to the audience to think, that's the dialogue. That's, that's giving an opportunity. So the story, when I was in grade 10, it was a grade 9 history class, but I was in grade 10. The teacher was going on talking about the party system of how the House of Commons was, and he said there's only 2 parties. And I said, excuse me, there's 5 that have seats. And he just threw the chalk at me and said, well, if you know everything, then you give the class. And so I did.
Well done. Up their nose with a rubber hose. I had a teacher that used to throw chalk as well. By the way, that's illegal.
We had a music teacher that did that, or conductor sticks.
Okay, seriously, Mr. Irwin.
Yeah.
do not do this in your presentation.
You do not. No. Yeah.
Would take little pieces of chalk, and if he thought you weren't paying attention, no, like full overhand, and then he had a pointer, and he'd start walking around the room, and if he thought you weren't paying attention, out of nowhere, this never hit a student, but the pointer would come down on your desk. The challenge was we had shared desks in the science lab, so it might not have been you that wasn't paying attention.
Oh,
but your table mate wasn't, and then you peed a little because this pointer came out of nowhere, and you're like, so you don't want to shock people during a presentation.
Exactly. You want to engage them, and and sometimes, like, if you like, it's harder on Zoom. It really is. But like, if you're sometimes, presentations go off and you realize you're not connecting, stop and just ask questions. So, like, and then you can get back to it, because, like, sometimes you just need to create the interactivity that's missing, and it's
but it's not interactivity. That's an excellent word.
Yeah,
that should be top of mind when you're putting together your 76 slides.
And I'm telling my daughter, who I told I would be available after 2:30, 5 more minutes, you can sit on my bed or whatever, and I'm almost done. We're almost done.
Right away. That was subtle, Maddie.
Yes.
So,
well, this is yet another one of those completely spontaneous, unplanned thing based on whatever happened on the way to the Coliseum today.
Yeah, a funny thing happened on the way to the podcast.
Exactly.
Which is, we are both in positions of presenting. We are both in positions. What I wondered about when we started this was, do presenters understand the negative impact that they could be having on the whole audience? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But in particular, neurodivergent individuals. And if you are not aware of your audience, if you are choosing to present, and 30% of the people in the room learn differently. Yeah. Okay. You also have to remember, this was the individual I was helping with the blog post, blew their mind when I said 6th grade reading level, people.
Yeah. Yeah. Focus on
across Canada, 6th grade reading level.
Yep.
Take out the technical jargon unless you are presenting to specialists. Make your content approachable. Create those seats at the table so that individuals who will benefit by what you have to say, because if it's good, it's like that thing. If you have something good to say, you'll tell 10 people. If you have something bad to say, you'll tell 50.
Yeah.
But if you have great information that can help move somebody forward, if they share it with 10 people, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's learning continued, and you've achieved what should be your goal,
which is impact.
Ooh.
That's what the goal should be.
I'm just making notes.
If you're not trying to impact somebody to move them, then what the hell are you saying? Like, if you're just to give information in a one-way thing, just give a document. Just put a presentation up there. Don't make it. Don't spend a half an hour. If you're expecting people to be an audience, the goal should be to impact that audience to something. Further their knowledge.
Yeah. But remember that there are psychological impact when you don't engage.
Exactly.
Disengagement, like you were saying, can create anxiety, can override your ability to focus, override your ability to onboard the information. And that's all audience members, unless you are a fellow academic. And even then, I hope you find it boring as hell as well. Yeah. So that's what we just wanted to talk about. Yep. I mean, that was a total happenstance, but we're both giving and attending a lot of presentations. Yeah. I am always been curious if the way I check out is the same as the way other people check.
I would concur. Yep.
Yeah, not cool. So now Maddie's got to go because their daughter's staring at them like.
Exactly.
What you doing, Pop?
Yeah, I'm frustrated that they can't play a game that'll make noise because I'm doing the podcast. But hey.
Well, they can. It might have an interesting background.
It's been.
What's that?
She said no. I just turned the sound down.
Well, then why are you yelling at me?
Exactly.
Which daughter?
It's the cute one. And everybody would agree.
All right. On that
All the
note,
others have been cute at particular points in their life, but this one stays cute as a cat.
oh, cute as a kitty guy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
We'll
let
have
you
her on
deal with
sometime.
that
We'll have her on
parenting
sometime.
situation you just created. Whoosh.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. We really appreciate it, and we'll probably have a better plan on Friday when we do this again. Who knows?
Okay.
We had some ideas. Actually, I would like to get into
Yeah.
this little
Yes.
Judy do. We are all about strengths-based podcasts and encouraging and creating impact and having a dialogue. So we'll probably delve into this new character strengths profile tool that we just found, because I'm intrigued.
We're looking forward to this.
We'll see.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thanks.
Au
Bye,
revoir.
everybody.
Salut.
Hang on.
Have
Don't
you
jump
been-
off.
Have you just said
Leave it
goodbye?
there. Thank you for joining us on Across the Desk and our new series, The Autistic Rambler. Please visit spirocareerscanada.ca to learn more about the tools we're building with the autism community, and please visit theautisticrambler.com to learn more about Maddie Dever.